Good day, class. For our last discussion in CDI2, I'm going to discuss the medical legal aspect of physical injuries. So when we say medical legal aspect of physical injuries, an injury is the impairment of the body structure or function caused by the outside force. So it is also the effect of some form of stimulus to the body. So the effect of the application of forces or force is the productions of what we call wound. So what is wound? Wound is the break or the dissolution in the continuity of the skin or tissues of the body living. So pag sinabi po natin wound, ito po yung mga injuries that break the skin or other body tissues. And we have classifications of wound. So, classification of wounds as to severity. So, ibig sabihin, pag sinabi natin severity, ito po yung seriousness o yung pagkalupa ng isang injury or yung isang wound. So, the first one, we have what we call the mortal or fatal wound. So, wound which when inflicted is capable of causing death immediately after inflictions or shortly thereafter. So, pag sinabi nating mortal or fatal wound, ito po yung mga injuries na pwede mag-cause ng pagkamatay na isang injured person. So, next we have the non-mortal or non-fatal wound. Ito po yung mga wound when inflicted will not endanger one's life. So, pag sinabi naman po natin non-mortal or non-fatal wound, ito po yung mga injuries na hindi magkakos ng endangered sa buhay ng isang tao. Halimbawa po niyan yung mga gasgas, gallows, or mga minor injuries lang po. So, next we have the classification of wounds as to the kind of instrument used. So, the first one we have the contusion wound, an injury in the substance of skin, discolorations of the surface due to extravasations of blood, and this is due to the applications of blunt instruments. So, pag sinabi po natin blunt instrument, it is a heavy object without a sharp edge or point used as a weapon. Example po niyan is yung hammers, wrecking bars, pipe wrenches, or pwede rin po yung mga sports equipment such as yung crickets, baseball bats, hockey sticks, ano pa, full cues, or yung pang golf clubs. Yan. Yung consider po natin silang blunt instrument. Marami pa pong iba as long as yung hindi po siya sharp edge at hindi po pointed. Tinatawag po natin silang mga blunt instrument. So, pag sinabi po natin contusion, ito po yung parang wound, na close wound po sila, kaya lang po parang may namuong dugo dun sa upper layer ng skin natin. Parang mga pasa or bugbog. Ganyan. So, next we have the hematoma wound. This is the extravasations of blood in the newly formed cavity, and this is due to application of blunt instrument. Bali, same din po sila na ginamit na instrument, puro blunt instrument. At pag sinabi po natin extravasations of blood, ito po yung slight hemorrhage under the skin resulting in a purplish patch. Yan, parang yung namuong dugo sa balat, sa surface or sa outer surface ng ating balat. Ang pagkakaiba po ni contusion kay hematoma wound, pareho silang parang may purplish color, kaya lang si hematoma is may halong bukol or parang elevated yung injured part niya. So next we have the distinctions between contusions and hematoma. So pag sinabi natin contusions, in contusions the effuse of blood are accumulated in interstices of the tissue underneath the skin, while sa hematoma naman po, blood accumulates in a newly formed cavity underneath the skin. So, in contusions, the skin show no elevation, and if ever elevated, the elevation is slightly and is on account of inflammatory changes. So next, in hematoma naman, the skin is always elevated. So in contusion, punctured or aspirations with syringe or the lesions, no blood can be obtained. While kay hematoma, aspiration will show presence of blood and subsequent depressions of the elevated lesion. So next, we have other types of wound and according to his instrument use. The third one is lacerated wound. So tearing of the skin due to forcible contact of a blunt instrument. Still, blunt instrument pa rin po ang ginamit kay lacerated wound. Kaya lang si lacerated wound is ano na sila, open wound na sila kasi meron na siyang tearing of the skin. So next, we have the incise wound. Incise wound is a wound produced on a body by a sharp-edged instrument. Ibig sabihin, sharp-edged instrument na po ang ginamit para makapag-produce ng incise wound. Pag sinabi natin sharp-edged, ito po yung mga instrument na matalim sa gilid. Yan. Yan yung mga ginamit na instrument para mag-inflict ng incise wound. At ang pinagkaiba po ni na lacerated wound kay incise wound, si lacerated wound, yung makikita mo yung appearance ng kanyang wound is irregular yung damage. While kay incise wound is parang regular and smooth yung damage ng pagkakahiwa or pagkakasugat sa kanya. So, meron tayong distinctions po between kay incise wound at lacerated wound. So, kay incise wound, edge are clean cut, regular, and well-defined. Yan po yung sinabi natin kanina. So, kay lacerated wound naman, edges are roughly cut, irregular, and ill-defined. So, kay incise, there is no swelling or contusions around the incise wound. While kay lacerated, there is a swelling, contusions around the lacerated wound. And kay incise wound, extremities of the wound are sharp or may be rough or contused. While kay lacerated, extremities of the wound are ill-defined and irregular. So, kay examination naman, kay incise wound, means of magnifying lens show the air bulbs are cut, while kay lacerated, when using magnifying lens, shows the air bulbs are preserved, so hindi na damage. So, kay incise wound, yung healing niya is mas mabilis dahil nga well-defined or parang regular lang yung hiwa, so madaling maghilom yan. Hindi gaya po ni lacerated na dahil nga irregular yung form ng pagkakasugat sa kanya, so mahihirapan maghilom yung balat nito. So next we have scar is linear or spindle shape, while kay lacerated, it is irregular. So kay incise wound caused by a sharp-edged instrument, while kay lacerated, yung ginamit naman is blunt instrument. So, yan. Meron tayong mga sample images po ng mga instrument used like blunt and sharp instrument. At the same time, meron din po tayong sample appearance din po ng mga wound. So, ito po yung tinatawag natin na incise wound. Ibig sabihin, yung ginamit dito ay mga sharp-edge instrument, kaya parang pino or regular yung pagkakahiwa. Hindi gaya kay lacerations or lacerated wound, irregular yung pagkakahiwa at may parang pamamaga sa side ng sugat. Gaya din ito, lacerated wound, hindi irregular yung yung hiwa ng kanyang sugat. And next, we have the hematoma. Ito yung sinabi natin, parang may dugo din at may elevated yung injured part. While dito kay contusions is lang siya, purplish color lang. Meron sa kanya. At yung sample po ng ating mga sharp edges or sharp edge instruments, yan, mga gunting, knives, ano pa ba? Pwede yung mga axes, basta to, ano siya, mga sharp edge. Yan. While kay blunt instrument, ito po yung mga heavy equipment na hindi sharp sa gilid at hindi rin po pointed yung affairs nila. Yung mga tinatawag natin na mga blunt instrument. So next we have other form of wounds. We have what we call the punctured wound. So wound produced on the body by sharp pointed instrument. So ang ginamit naman dito is mga sharp pointed instrument gaya po ni ice pick, ni screwdriver, ni nails o mga pako at mga barbecue stick. So yan po ang instrument na ginamit para makapag-produce ng punctured wound. And yung example po natin is ito po yung sample natin na punctured wound. Okay, next, we have the viral trauma wound. So, ito yung po yung brought about by change of atmospheric pressure. So, paano po ba yan? Pag meron pong rapid or extreme changes, like po in air pressure, especially affecting enclosed cavities within the body, such as po yung mga middle ear natin. Yan, pag may pagbabago sa ating air pressure, pwedeng mag-cause ito ng damage sa ating mga tenga, sa ating middle ear. Yun yung tinatawag natin na trauma. So next, we have the frostbite, burns or scalds. Pag sinabi po natin frostbites, ito po yung mga caused by freezing of the skin. And most common po ito sa mga fingers, toes, nose, ears, cheeks, and chin. Yung mga na-expose na skin in a cold or windy weather. Yan po yung mga tinatawag po natin na frostbite. So, may example din po tayo dito. Dito po, yan. Yun yung mga sample damage po ng mga frostbite. So, sobrang lamig. Yan. Next, we have meron din po tayong burns or scalds. Ito naman po yung burn or scalds or burn blister. It's a covering of the skin that forms over a burnt area of the body. So, parang yun yung mga burned skin or burnt skin. Tapos, makikita niya parang may namuo or may naglobo sa part ng burnt skin or minsan parang may tubig siya sa loob. So, suggest po ng iba is huwag aalisin yung pagkakalobo nun kasi pinoprotektan niya yung burnt skin from infection. So, dapat pala huwag tanggalin kasi ako, parang tinatanggal ko yung yun nga, parang naglobo. So, pala huwag tanggalin dahil pala yun yung protection ni burnt skin from infections. So next, we have the gunshots. Ay, meron po tayong example po ni burnt or ni burnt blister. Ayan, ito po. Yan, yung mga burnt blister natin. Yung parang naglobo dyan na may tubig. So next, we have the gunshot or shrapnel wound brought about by chemical explosion naman yan. So example po ng ating gunshot wounds is like this one po. Yan. So next, we have the avulsion. So ipag sinabi natin, avulsions is a layer of skin torn off completely or only flap of skin remains. So pag sinabi natin avulsion, ito po yung mga part ng skin na parang natanggal or natalo yung pagkakasugat nito. So may example po tayo dito. Yan, this one po. Yan po yung mga tinatawag natin na avulsion wound. So next we have the abrasion. Abrasion wound is characterized by the removal of the superficial layer of the skin brought by frictions against a hard or rough object. Ibig sabihin naman po, ito po yung pagka-remove lang ng pinaka superficial or yung pinaka upper part po ng skin natin because of frictions or may-aring nagasgas sila sa isang hard or rough area. Example po ng ating abrasion yung mga galos, gasgas, yan. So, yan po yung mga sample natin ng mga abrasions. So next we have the as regards of the depth of the wound. Ibig sabihin, gaan naman sa lalim ng pagkaka-inflict ng isang sugat. So meron tayong tinatawag natin na superficial wound which is involves the outer layers of the skin. Yan, parang kamukha po ni abrasion. Yan yung klase ng mga or yung lalim ng sugat is nasa superficial lang, ibig sabihin nasa outer layer of skin lang, gaya ng gasgas at galos po. Yan yung tinatawag natin ng mga superficial wound according to the depth of wound. Next, we have the deep wound naman. So, wound involves the inner structures beyond the layer of the skin. Ibig sabihin, yung inflicted na injury is beyond, nasa outer layer of skin natin, nasa loob na yung pagkakasugat. Ibig sabihin, malalim na po. And meron po tayong dalawang klase ng deep wound. We have the penetrating wound. So one is which the bleeding agent enters the body but did not come out, or the mere reachings of solid organs of tissue of the body. So pag sinabi natin penetrating, so from the word penetrating, ito po yung pagpasok or entrance ng isang wounding agent sa isang body. But hanggang doon lang po siya, hanggang sa loob lang po siya. So wala siyang exit wound. So, yan po yung mga tinatawag natin na mga penetrating wound. Example po niyan is yung gunshot wound din. Kaya lang yung pagkaka-injured galing sa barrel is yung bala is naiwan sa loob. So, hindi na po lumabas na bala sa other side. So, other than yung mga as long as ibang injury, like yung stab wound, na hanggang sa loob lang yun na inflict na yung injury. So, ganun ka lalim. Yan yung mga tinatawag natin na penetrating wound. So next we have the perforating wound. Ito yung when the wounding agent produces communication between the inner and the outer portions of the hollow organs. So it may also mean piercing or traversing completely, particularly part of the body, causing communication between the point of entry and exit of the instrument or substance of producing it. Ibig sabihin po, yung deep ng wood na to is meron na siyang entrance point, parang, di ba, nag-penetrate siya, and at the same time, tumagos po siya sa kabilang side or meron na rin siyang exit wound, parang tuloy-tuloy po yung pag-inflict ng injury sa kanya ni wounding agent or instrument. Ibig sabihin, yung injury is may entry and then meron lumabas yung instrument na ginamit sa labas. Parang nag-produce siya ng dalawang wound or meron siyang exit or entry and exit point of wound. So, example din po niyan is yung pwede din po yung gunshot wounds na pwede yung tama ng barrel is tumagos po sa katawan. Okay? Meron siyang entry and exit, lalabas sa kabila. Meron din po yung stab wound, but yung gamit is samurai, di ba? Yung mahabang mga sharp edges natin ng instrument, which is makakagawa din po siya ng entry points and then lalabas sa kabila. Yung may exit point. Basta as long as may entry and exit point, yan po yung mga tinatawag natin na perforating wound. So next we have the as to regards naman po to the relations of the site of the applications of force and the locations of injury. Ito naman po yung mga sinasabi natin kung saan yung locations or yung application po ng force after ma-inflict yung injury. So saan ba pwedeng maging yung location ng injury after mong matamaan sa isang blunt instrument or mga sharp edges instrument. So saan ba mag-a-appear yung injury ng isang ginamit na instrument. So next we have the co-injury. So yung pronunciation po nito is silent P. So ang tawag natin because po is co-injury. So pag sinabi po nating co-injury, ito po yung physical injury which is located at the site of application of the force. Ibig sabihin po, kung saan tumama po yung instrument na ginamit is dun din po makikita yung injury. Dun din po yung location ng injury. Yan. So next we have, halimbawa, okay, merong, if you were in a car accident and you struck your head on the steering wheel, then yung makikita mo pong injury mo is makikita siya near at the locations of the forehead kung saan ka natamaan ng steering wheel. So, doon po yung location ni injury mo. Next, we have the contre-co injury, a physical injury found opposite of the site of the application of force. Ibig sabihin, kung kanina, di ba, nagka-car accident ka, then natamaan yung noo mo sa steering wheel. So, instead sa makikita yung injury dito sa forehead is sa likod ng ulo is doon makikita yung location ng injury. Kaya counter-co injury, sabihin opposite side of the application force. Next, we have the contre-co injury. It is a physical injury located at the site and also opposite side of the application force. So, makikita naman po yung location ng injury natin. Pag sinabi natin na co-contre-co injury is sa gitna po between kung saan po yung location ng first na natamaan at doon sa opposite side. It means in between po siya. So, wala siya doon sa both side, kundi nasa gitna po ng dalawa. Next, we have the locus minoris resistensya from the word itself, resistensya. It is a physical injury located not at the site nor at the opposite side of the applications of force, but in some areas offering the least resistance to the force application. So, makikita po yung locations ng injury is sa lugar dun sa ine-expect mo na hindi mo siya makikita or dun sa tingin mo is hindi madadamage na part, which is dun siya nakalocate or yung the most vulnerable parts ng isang ng part ng katawan mo is doon makikita yung damage, which is dapat is wala siya doon, but dahil nga locus minoris resistensya siya is doon mo siya makikita yung location ng isang wound. So next we have what we call the extensive injury. So physical injury involving a greater area of the body beyond the site of the application of force. It has not only a wide area of injury but also the variety types of injury. Pag sinabi natin extended injury, which yung ini-expect mo is ganito lang yung damage, ganito lang kaliit, dahil nga nag-extend yung injuries, napakalaki na sakop ng injury or malaki yung cost ng injury niya kaysa dun sa in-expect mo na magiging cost niya. So, yan. At pag sinabi natin po dito, hindi lang po nag-extend yung area ng injury mo, but nag-cause din po siya ng mga varied different types of injury. Like, kung abrasion man yan, baka meron pa yung mga contusions, or hindi lang, baka may lacerated wound pa yan. Parang siya, different various of type of injuries nandun lang sa iisang site or iisang area po ng mga part po ng injury, ng wounded part. So next we have the special types of wound. So the first one we have the defense wound. Pag sinabi po natin defense wound, ito po yung result of a person's instinctive reactions of self-protections, injuries suffered by a person to avoid a potential injury contemplated by the aggressor. So saan po ba natin makikita kadalasan yung mga defense wounds? Dahil nga panangga, kadalasan makikita po yung mga defense wound is sa ating mga kamay, panangga nga po. So, yan, dyan po natin halos makikita yung mga defense wounds. So, next we have the patterned wound produced by the sharp of the instrument or object reflected in the body. So, pag sinabi natin patterned wound, ito po yung kung ano yung gamit or kung ano yung ginamit na instrument para mag-inflict ng injuries, parang babakat po siya dun sa injured part or yung area ng injured part ng katawan. Halimbawa is yung, yung dos por dos po, di ba? Pag pinalo mo siya, palo ka gamit yung dos for dos, di ba babakat po yung parang pahaba or rectangle shape po ng dos for dos sa balat. Dun sa balat po ng injured persons. Ano pa? Sa mga sharp instrument naman po is yung stabon, di ba? Magmamark po, magpapattern po kung gaano yung lawa or laki or nipis or kapal ng isang knife na ginamit mo pang stabon is babakat din po siya dun sa uh, injury or dun sa inflicted na injury. So, yun yung po yung mga tinatawag na pattern tool. As long as nagmark ka yung anong ginamit mo na instrument para ma-inflict yung injury sa skin or dun sa katawan ng isang injured person, yun po yung mga tinatawag natin na pattern wound. So next we have also the self-inflicted wound. Self-inflicted wound is a wound produced on oneself. So ibig sabihin, ikaw mismo yung nag-inflict ng wound sa sarili mo. So halimbawa po niyan is halimbawa naghihiwa ka. So accidentally na dumulas po yung ano ba yan, sibuyas, patatas, and accidentally na-cut mo yung kamay mo instead do sa sibuyas nga. So yun yung mga self-inflicted wound. Or ano pa, may dala-dala kang kutsilyo or nadulas ka, di ba? So, accidentally na nasaksak mo sa hita mo or kamay mo, yun yung mga self-inflicted wound. So, ano ba pagkakaiba po ni self-inflicted wound kay suicide? Pag sinabi po natin suicide, ibig sabihin, kagustuhan po nila yung pag-inflict ng injury sa sarili nila. While self-inflicted wound is the person has no intention to end his life or to suffer an injury. Okay? So, hindi niya intention. So, mag-produce ng injury or wound sa sarili niya. Yung po yung kakaiba ni suicide kay self-inflicted wound. So, this is the end of our discussion in CDI2. So, thank you and God bless po and keep safe always. Thank you.